Well, good afternoon. We are at 1489 Berdan Avenue here in Toledo. This is 43612 zip code. Berdan Avenue is a reasonably busy street. It's one of our arteries. And so I personally just bought this house a week ago. Let's see where we stand. I just wanted to show you the backyard for a second. So the electric is not active at this property yet. We still have it coming on. Gas and electric normally takes about 7 days to get both scheduled. And then I just wanted to share the deck. The snow is actually hiding a lot of sins. I think the railing will stay, but the deck planking is ready for an upgrade or replacement. So just a standard backyard. And then you have a vinyl sided house. You can see, oh, we have a window open up there. That's cute. But again, heat's not on yet. So there's nothing that's too catastrophic, but that's interesting. And then we have the exterior of the property. So this is a standard 3-bedroom house here in Toledo. You will hear me speak of them, and it has been the cornerstone of my family's portfolio. Looking from the snap, you need railing on this side of the porch to pass Section 8. We do have railing on one side. Section 8 considers 3 steps, and the top step is considered a 3rd step. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps total in this specific image. And then city code is 36 inches, requires railing. So then you have to have railing up here, and that will move us into the house. All right, 1489 Berdan, just walking into the living room. So standard layout for a second. First of all, any vacant / foreclosed property, you always have the chirp of the smoke alarm low battery. It's kind of the sound of a discount. And then this property has already been demolished, cleared out a little bit by our company. But this is just a pretty solid example of a property purchased after it had been on the market for 6 months, and 60 cents on the dollar is essentially what we paid. So you have like a laminate floor. I'll get you a little more into some of the damage. See the water damage up in here. And then you have like separation, delamination damage. So this floor will end up being replaced. Wanted to share the kitchen for a second. This is unusual. Once you have walked about 10 of these properties, you'll start knowing what's interesting and unique. You can see we're also in the process right now of countertopping. They just demoed a day ago, and then they're in between jobs right now. We'll be back over here. But you have an opening that is cut between the 2 sides of the kitchen. So kind of a pass-through, really interesting. This used to have a piece of that countertop on top. So it was like set up as a buffet table. That will no longer be, there, because you can't go to Home Depot / Lowe's and buy a piece of double-sided countertop. You'd have to special order it. We're not interested in that investment for my own personal property. This is going to get capped in solid oak, and it'll be just a little wider. So it'll be like a resting place for dinner plates. You could put a plant up there, but it won't be like a full buffet. That'll have new countertop. This is in process of being replaced. And you can see over here some of the history. So you have some water damage. That, I presume, is the original color. It has been refinished. And then somebody tried like a pretty cutesy refinishing job. But ultimately, like you see back here, all the water damage. Ultimately, this countertop had it, and it's coming out. You essentially double your cost to install if you have a corner piece. So this is kind of an unusually sized run, but very viable. And then you come into standard. You have electric and gas. That is perfect. Primo right there. And then you have the vent hood over top. And I presume if we open this, we are not vented outside. Not uncommon. But it just means it's like removing the grease and then blowing it back into the room. So that is standard. And then again, with any of these properties that have been abandoned for a while, this one froze, which is why I got it so cheaply. But we're gonna end up having to demo the ceiling before we are all said and done. And with that, I'll take us down in the basement with a flashlight on. One thing that will be of interest is the ice accumulation. This has been an incredibly cold 2025 to 2026 winter, and we are now in the month of January of 26. See if my camera can catch it. I don't know if that's going to work or not, That is called a frost plate. It is just a very fragile, very hard cast iron, and the cast iron ruptures when the water meter freezes. I bought the house with that frozen. This is a lock from the city. They don't want, theft of their water. That's totally common, totally appropriate. See how this is digital? This is going to end up getting upgraded anyway. So that should be lovely. And then we have the gas meter, which I presume is outside. I just was looking at that. Gas meter's got to be mounted outside. This is just like somebody was like doing some privacy, but cute window. That's a vinyl slider. That is absolutely great. By the time we get this, ready, that'll be removed. Breaker panel, standard across town, 100 amps. Love to see that. And then we kind of walk across the basement. So what are we missing? You're missing your water heater and you're missing your furnace. So again, I bought it knowing that we were going to get to do some upgrades, but there's your chimney underneath there. Right there is the vent for the chimney. It's always cool to kind of see just the amount of debris that's kind of fallen down the chimney over the years. So that will end up getting kind of swept onto the floor and my guys will pick it up. Then you run into like washer dryer. And so you have your, water connections. Some need to be prettified a little bit, but you have your washer dryer connections. Everything's kind of ready to go. Again, you've got your vent because I think this is going to come out, although it's just sitting up there. Somebody stuck that up top. Nobody was venting that way, but that will run from the dryer out the window, which is perfect. And then you have like new plumbing. You can kind of see the old cast iron. That's called a Fernco right there. And then the plumbing comes down and out. We've already eyeballed this. I don't think we have any breakage in the drain. Really, the only way the drain would break is if we had water standing in it. This, I would expect to see breakage, but I don't see any breakage. Anyway, basic intro to the upgraded plumbing over the years. That would be the kitchen sink over on this side. No, that's the kitchen sink on that side. This I would expect goes up to the second floor for the bathroom. And with that, I will bring us upstairs. Very typical little landing, handrail on one side, meets Section 8 code. Windows must stay up, but these are modern windows, unpainted, lovely, and then just a little daylight if I can get it in the camera, see it right there. So this window just has to be pushed up. Again, there's no heat on in the house, so not a tragedy. When we move upstairs, incredibly common. You have front bedroom, which I can walk through real fast. We do have definitely some wall loving, right? You're gonna get to wash this and then paint it, but that's neat. And then we walk into the middle bedroom. Middle bedroom also, you have an interesting one, and that is hanging loose. See how much that moves. And so that is their cardboard. I think we can still buy them. I personally don't use them. But ultimately you're gonna need to put like drywall screws with flanges, washers, and then screw and suck that whole thing back up. There are gonna be furring strips this way or this way. We gotta figure out where the furring strips are and then try and suck that ceiling back up so that it's not pulling itself away. Here's one, they got bumped. And so you can kind of get an idea of how they work. And then here's a great example of lath and plaster. So it's the wall makeup of all of Toledo. This is failed. This would not be a resident charged damage. This is called keys that go into the backside of the lath and plaster. That's what holds everything on there. Over time, over vibration, these keys break away. There's a key inside the wall right there. So these break away, and then you end up with these blisters. And so what my people are gonna get to do is break away. You can kind of see it's breaking here, in like a kind of an interesting stair step. This was pretty solid up top. So I think you're gonna end up removing 4 or 5 square feet worth of wall, putting it back. You need to do the same thing right here. One thing that I will do to help my people, because I'm a very kind leader, is to force them to have to replace the wall. I want it done. So you'll kind of find them with those domes. I don't see any other in here. It's actually pretty strong, but I would say over the next, 10 years, you're probably gonna have to monkey around with the wall a little bit. Or once you fix the weak spots, it may secure the whole wall. But there you go. Oh, closet. You always want closets in here, and it's very common in Toledo to have nice, deep, large, kind of odd closets, but they work great. So that's the middle bedroom. That'd be bedroom 1, bedroom 2. Coming in here too, bedroom 3. This is where the window is kind of open. I don't see any damage to it necessarily. Maybe these clips get to be replaced. Kind of an interesting view of the neighborhood for you. But ultimately, that needs to be secured in place. This is one of the chirpy rooms. Same nasty little, ceiling, stapled foam ceiling pieces. So nothing really to write home about. Again, I personally own this house. I like to do carpeting from the landing all the way to the upstairs and just flow the carpet through the rooms. That's pretty cost effective. This is going to end up with another floor. You can see it's torn here. It's always contractor choice whether they want to do LVP or solid flooring. But there's your basic layout. Nothing too rare and wonderful. And then below us is that broken ceiling. If this froze appreciably, the toilet's going to be cracked, but I don't think so. I think this whole thing was left alone long enough that it didn't really break. Oh, let's see what we have. No, you might be okay. What we'll have to do is kind of pull down a little bit of that ceiling so we can see up top, and that's where we will start flowing the water. And then it's a matter of whether we demo the whole ceiling, replace all the water lines. If we do that, we always talk about the drain lines. It's kind of a, onesie twosie, if one then the other. But that is what we will end up doing to get this job in the bag. And that is 1489 Berdan Avenue. I closed it a week ago. Rent on this property, somewhere around $1,100, $1,200. I personally am not that fanatical about my rent rate. I make sure I buy at a discount, and then I make sure that we rent to a really excited resident. I want them to feel like they got a deal because I make my money by them staying for several years. But really a great property over here. Very excited for it. And this would be a perfect example of what I recommend our clients buy, provided that they are closing in cash. I closed this in 7 days, and then you have to fund all the rehab. Then you can do a cash out refi at the end if you wish. That's pretty easy. But there you go. That is the property. And do not ask me why, like they've got like the crackhead painting. I don't know why somebody was scared, but they also didn't nick all of the wooden trim and we would have to repaint it. So truly, they did a fine job for what they had. They did not wreck the property for us. Down here, that is gonna be coming up, and then this whole thing is gonna end up being a LVP, waterproof flooring. Let me check the kitchen while we're down here, just for giggles. We'll pull this up as well. See, there's a big separation here. It's delaminated. Over there, it's delaminated. So yeah, both living room and kitchen get demoed, and then we'll go from there. But that is 1489 Berdan Avenue. Again, a reasonably busy street. It's funny because every time I try to video the street, there's no cars. But it's a street you don't want to back up onto unless you're pretty skilled. You definitely don't want your teenage kid learning to back up onto this street. But that is 1489 Berdan Avenue, and it is really a solid investment property example. Enjoy.